Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to be doing an Etsy shop critique. This is one of the many free critiques I do every single month for free to give back to my community. So if you would like a chance to win a critique, I will leave the link right below the video where you could sign up. Now, if this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, consider subscribing. I do upload weekly videos to help you build an impactful online business. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell. This is for everyone, so you'll be the first person notified of any new videos that I upload. In addition to that, if you're new to Etsy, you're a beginner, I have a lot of resources that you can find right below this video that will help you get started the right way. So make sure that you check them out. And let's head over to my computer to see who is today's lucky Etsy critique winner. All right, so today's lucky Etsy critique winner is the store called The Handmade Designer One, and the store owner is Ashley. So congratulations. And even if you didn't win this particular critique, make sure that you stick around all the way to the end, because everything that I'm about to talk about is applicable for any type of niche and you will learn a lot. And I'm going to be covering product photography. I'm going to be talking about Etsy SEO, Google SEO, listing description, the curation of the store, and much more. So by the end of this video or throughout the video, if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned, please leave your questions right below this video. And if you have any feedback for Ashley, maybe you sell in the same space as she does and you have more experience than I do, please leave a comment, anything that will help her in the comments below as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So the listing that I'm doing an audit today on is this one right here. The reason why I picked this one over some of these other ones is because when I go to sales, I can actually see which are her top SVG files, right? I can see here that this one does really well. This one does really well. So I didn't want to pick one that is doing really well. I always tell people, if your listings are performing well, the ones that are performing well, leave them alone. Even if you know that maybe you didn't optimize it correctly for Etsy SEO, maybe you didn't optimize it correctly for Google SEO, I would just leave it alone. You did something right. You put some type of keyword that is ranking that particular listing and is driving you tons of traffic. So don't touch those. Only fix the listings that are not performing well, the ones that are not getting you any views, no traffic, and no sales. Now, keep in mind, Ashley, you are able to close this out. I personally always recommend for everyone as a seller to close the Etsy sales history. So you could still see the amount of sales you have sold, but people wouldn't be able to click here and spy on you. So this is a good advantage for your competitors to come here, kind of browse through your listings and see what are your top listings. So what I would recommend is go ahead and close it out. And you're able to do so from the back end of your dashboard, and you're able to close out your Etsy history, sales history, so people don't click here and spy on you. So that would be the first tip I have for you. Secondly, let's go ahead and move on. I know that you mentioned that you are a graphic designer, and I could tell because you have beautiful designs. And you mentioned something about your photos when people look at them, or when you look at them through a desktop, they're not clear. I'm looking at your photos. They all look really, really great to me. They're really clear to me. I don't see them looking distorted or anything else. Guys, if you're looking at her images from a desktop and they look blurry to you, make sure that you leave a comment below. But I'm looking at it, or if they look clear to you, make sure that you let her know by leaving a comment below. I'm looking at your photos. They look very clear to me. They do not look blurry. So I'm not sure if it was just at the time when you were uploading it, maybe it was a glitch from Etsy or something. But from my end, they look good, and I wanted to make sure that I addressed that. So the listing that I'm doing out of is this one. So the first thing I want to talk about is product photography. As a business owner on Etsy, I highly recommend everyone, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned seller, that you take advantage of all of the options that you have with Etsy. One of them is having 10 photos of your product. So I highly recommend filling this up. That will help you increase your click-through rate time. People will engage longer with your brand and hopefully read your listing description and then make an informed decision if they want to buy from you or not buy from you. So make sure that you get as creative as you can. Add all 10 photos. Add the video listing video listing as well as a plus. I would definitely make sure to add all of them. In addition to that, I wanted to just make sure that I tell you a little bit more about having text overlays and having logos and graphics over your images, how that could reduce the visibility from Google. So keep in mind that when you have images, like your main image, if it has a logo, a text overlay like this, or a graphic overlay, Etsy will never feature your listing in their email blast or in their, sometimes they pick images and put them in their Etsy Instagram account, or they'll do like a Facebook ad. You wouldn't get featured only because they only feature images that don't have any logos on them or any graphics on them. So just keep that in mind. Now, I was listening to a young lady that works in Etsy, and she also mentioned that when you have logo, text overlay, or graphics, your visibility actually reduces for Google. Don't forget that your listings are shown on both Etsy and Google. So by having this here, it does reduces the visibility of your shop from Google. So it's really ultimately your decision, Ashley, if you're going to remove this and just keep the actual Home Sweet Home SVG file, just like the picture of it. But I wanted to make sure that I told you that because that's one of the things that I just learned about a week ago, that I was talking about in this channel as well as in my group with my students, because I didn't know that. And I thought, wow, that's crazy, because I have a lot of my listings that I have included like a logo or some sort of graphic overlay. So just keep that in mind. Ultimately, it will be your decision if you want to remove it or not. I'm currently making the adjustments of removing it just to test it out and see if that actually does increases my visibility, at least from Google. You did a really good job of having this photo here that explains that you could use it for commercial and personal and all the different types of files that you get included. And then you have it here in a different font color so they can know that you could change the font. You have the license and policies right here. And then you have, addition to that, the digital download instructions. And I think this is really important because when you do sell products that are digital downloads, many people really don't know how to download it. They get a little bit confused with it. And I know it's still fairly new for many people. So I think this is a great idea to kind of alleviate that and help people that are particularly new with this process, right? Not everyone is new, but you're going to get some people that are pretty new with it. What I would do, like I said earlier, is try to come up with creative ways of adding additional photos, and don't forget the video. In addition to that, I didn't see anywhere in your store that you are practicing email marketing, like collecting leads. So what happens to the people that come to your store and then don't buy from you, right? What happens to the people that they come and they look at your store, they look around, and maybe they like your products, but they're not ready to buy, or they're shopping around. So one thing that I recommend is that you have to have systems in place so that way you could start collecting leads. And there's many reasons why you need to start email marketing. One of them is because not every single person that comes to your store, whether you drove them using Instagram, Pinterest, or maybe they found you through SEO, are ready to buy the first time. Unless you have something very unique, very different that they know they can't get elsewhere, and it makes it almost like a no-brainer for them to buy from you. However, it does take about 7 times for someone to engage with a brand before they ultimately buy from them. So having an email list is a really great way to start getting emails right away. And then you could start having them in your ecosystem by remarketing to them at a later time, by making sure they get to know your brand. And then hopefully the second, third, fourth time that they engage with you, they'll be more prone of buying from you. Another thing that I always tell people is that you should have an email list, because God forbid Etsy closes your account. Now you have a list. You don't have to start from scratch. You have a list that belongs to you that you could remarket to at a later time, right? Or you could say, hey, by the way, we are no longer on Etsy, but this is our Shopify store, or this is our website. And then you could transfer those people, right? Redirect them to your new site. It's really important for all business owners, no matter if you got 0 sales or 2,000 sales, that you start email marketing as soon as possible. So I highly recommend that you start doing it for your store, Ashley, because it's going to be beneficial for you in the long run for many reasons. I just named 2 of them, but there's like I will be here all day talking about the reasons why, but there's so many different reasons why. So make sure that you get started with that as soon as possible. You could either use the approved partner that Etsy recommends, or you could find someone else if you like and start with them. It's ultimately up to you which route you want to go. Now, what you want to do with your titles, now that we're talking about the title, is to make sure that you have title and tag relevancy. So for Etsy SEO, you want to make sure that you include your titles and tags the same. You want to make sure that they match. So I'm using eRank Pro. I do have the paid version in case if it does look a little bit different to you guys. And I'm just going to be looking at her title. So she has Home Sweet Home SVG. And she does have it right here, so that's perfect. And then she has cut file for cutting machines. Let's see, cut files for cutting machines. So she doesn't have that keyword there. Home sign, cut file. So she doesn't have that one there. And then she has rustic farmhouse. So she has rustic download right here. She has rustic farmhouse. And then she has inspire home sign and decor. Inspire home sign. So she has 2 keywords in her title that match her tags. What I would recommend is something like this, like for cutting machines. I would I will add that in the actual listing description. But your title, you want to make sure that is easy to read. Yours is very easy to read for the prospective buyer. They're not going to be turned off by it. It's not a string of keywords. You want to make sure that you have a balance of easy to read, but also optimized for SEO. Because ultimately you need to add tags to your title so they could be matched with search queries that people are searching for. So having 2 keywords versus having, let's say, 4 or 5. If you have 5, you have a greater chance of getting more found. So definitely work on adding more keywords and making sure that is title and tag relevancy, meaning that they match exactly what you wrote in your tags. And don't forget that attributes and categories also attributes act like tags. So only pick the tags that are relevant, or only use the attributes that are relevant to what you're selling. And don't forget to choose the right category for your products. Those are the 4 areas that Etsy SEO matches search queries with what people are actually searching for on Etsy. So it's really important that you do that. And I was looking at your keywords that you have and looking at them here. You have a lot of keywords that have less than 20 search volume. And a number that I always tell people to look at is make sure that the monthly search volume is at least 500 or more, and the competition is 30,000 or less. Now, for here, 500 or more, that's just a number. I'm not saying you have to specifically use that one. If you find a keyword that has 400 or 300 monthly search volume, you could use that. That's way better than some of these that have less than 20. You see, it's way better. And also keep in mind that you did a really good job of finding keywords that do somewhat accurately describe what you sell. But some of the keywords I feel like could improve, like rustic download. If I go to Etsy, I just want to see what actually comes up when I type in that keyword. When you're doing keyword research, guys, you want to think about your prospective buyer. What would they type in the search results to find your product? So when I type in rustic download, there's 135,000 people using that keyword. And this is what I see. And this is what I thought about when I saw that. So I understand why she's using it for that, but my mind went to something like this. So you want to make sure that you use keywords that accurately describes what you sell. So something like this, rustic download is somewhat a little bit general. So you want to be more specific. At least this one is a little bit more specific. The only downside of this one is that it doesn't have any traction. As you can see, is less than 20. So there's two things that you could do when you're looking for keywords. You should be using either one, long tail keywords. They usually do have less monthly search volume and less competition, but they're more targeted in their higher conversion keywords. So the quality of people that will find them are better for you because these are people that are searching for your products. So using long tail keywords will really help you. The second thing is that if you sell a product that maybe doesn't potentially do as well on Etsy, did you do market research before adding your products on Etsy? Did you validate that people are actually searching for this and buying this? If not, let's say you didn't do that and now you're doing keywords and keyword research and you can't find keywords for it, it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily be successful at it. It just means that it will be a little bit harder, right, to be successful with it on Etsy. And it means that you will have to work a little bit harder to bring in your own traffic, meaning you will need to do blogging and promote your products in your blog to amplify your reach. It means that you will need to use like Pinterest, build your email list so you could have customers that will be customers for you for life, that you could remarket to them over and over and over. You will need to use other methods to kind of continue driving traffic to your store, because a lot of the stuff that you sell, sometimes it might be a saturated market. Like if you do weddings, almost every store on Etsy is about weddings, and it is a lot more saturated. And we know that a lot of people buy stuff that are wedding related on Etsy, but are people actually buying SVG files on Etsy? And I know that other Etsy sellers do, and I have seen stores that sell SVG files and they do really well. So there are methods to growing traffic back to your store. You might have to use competitive keywords, right? And run ads to get more visibility also. But keep that in mind that when you're doing keyword research, what I recommend is making sure that you write down 10 to 15 keywords that accurately describe what you sell. And the tool that I recommend is called the Keyword Explorer, because you could use this tool to plug in every keyword you came up with, do a quick search, and try to find keywords that have at least 500 monthly search volume with 30,000 or less in competition. And when you find those keywords, what you want to do is that the keyword that has the most search volume, let's say this was the keyword right here, the one that has the most search volume, you will take that and you will put it in the beginning of your title. And this is more for Google SEO, because the keyword that you put here ultimately becomes the title page of that page. And then you will use it in the first 155 characters, which is your meta description, that same keyword. And then the other keywords, you will sprinkle them in your title. And then the additional keywords, you will put them in your listing description. And this is more for Google SEO. That way you can amplify your reach from Google. But you definitely also want to fix this here, because guys, don't forget your listings are shown on both Google and Etsy. So this is what people see on Etsy. They see the image and they see the first few words of your title. And then this is what people see on Google. So right now it says in this download, you will receive 5 files. It has all the files. Depending on the design, you may receive more than one, and then it kind of gets cut off. So you want to make sure that when people read this on Google, if they happen to find your listing on Google, you want to make sure that's enticing. You want to make sure that you include your focus keyword and it has some sort of call to action, like click to get yours today, or click to shop now, or grab yours today, because that's going to increase your click-through rate, and hopefully they'll click from Google, come back to your store, engage with your photos, engage with your video, read your listing description, and then make an informed decision if they want to proceed and buy from you. So definitely fix that for every single listing. Make sure that you include your meta description. In addition to that, don't forget at the bottom of this, I would have a hyperlink of your homepage, a hyperlink to other matching items in your store. Because one of the disadvantages of selling on Etsy is that they promote your competitors right next to you, right? They have your competitors all right here. So what we don't want them to do is go down, see this listing here, click there and leave and never come back to your store. We want to keep them a little bit longer in our actual store, but having a link here will definitely help you get your click-through rate increase and keep them a little bit longer in your actual store versus them seeing a different store. I love the bottom right here. You said, if you need any help, I could fix the issue and get you back on track. I'm happy crafting. So great customer service there. So I think the biggest takeaway is making sure that using keywords that you're actually going to get some traction and traffic back to your store. And making sure that you're optimizing your listing for Google SEO. I know you're not currently doing that at the moment, but you're losing a lot of opportunity of getting found on Google. So making sure that you do that as soon as possible. And because you are a graphic designer, what I would do is create a beautiful banner where you could showcase maybe your top sellers, right? Or maybe your new listings, but taking advantage of this to showcase some of your products, even having your email link up here somewhere as well, to make it more visible for people. And great job for having an about me story, having it completed. A lot of people don't have this completed, and it does affect your customer and market experience. And it reduces your visibility. So great job for having that, and great job for having your shop policies in place. So I think the biggest takeaway for you is Etsy SEO and Google, obviously, because that's how you drive traffic back to your current store. So if you fix those two things, and then maybe possibly fix the images, your main images, to kind of increase, right, your traffic from Google, those three things combined could definitely make a huge difference for you. Guys, if you have any tips for Ashley or any questions about anything that I mentioned, please leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching.